What's going on, everybody? John Paul Leek, bringing you your Monday Night Raw review. And let's get in right into it, shall we? So the show started off with Seth Rollins was calling a town meeting for Raw. Because after the Survivor Series, clearly Raw did the worst out of any of the brands. The Viking Raiders were the only ones to win, I believe. So Rollins wanted to call a town meeting. So he was in the middle of the ring, and the whole Raw locker room was surrounding the ring. And right when this clown started talking, everybody in that whole arena just started chanting CM Punk. And immediately, because it's Seth Rollins, he can't just let anything go. He addresses it and he says, I tried to get him to show up, but he'd rather just sit behind a desk and complain about a change that he's too scared to make. Which, I'm not going to say Rollins is correct, because he's not, because he's clearly an idiot. We all know Punk will come back in due time. But, like, why even acknowledge it? He's so much of a pussy and a baby, he just can't let anything the crowd says or does just gets under his skin. He can't just ignore it. And that's one of the many reasons that I've lost favor in Rollins. So, moving on from that, he pretty much says everybody, and now he's addressing the Raw locker room. He says pretty much that they all suck. So when he said this, that was the first little, my ear perked up, red flag. Is this like he's turning heel? Not that like, oh, Rollins is a full-fledged heel now, but like this could be the start, I feel. Because, as much of a kiss ass and everything as Seth Rollins was before this, I don't see him saying that, unless he was starting to turn heel. So he calls out people, like he calls out Randy Orton, and he said, you were on my Survivor Series team, and you were our weakest link. And I don't know if that's true, but, that's what Rollins says, and then Randy Orton just kind of gives him this look like, fuck you, dude, I don't need to listen to this, and he just starts walking off, and Seth is like, oh, yeah, veteran, you've been here long enough, you don't need to listen to me, right? Blah, 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 and Orton kind of just, like, blow me, dude. He just walks off, he doesn't care. And, I mean, that's the whole attitude the whole roster should have felt, because it's like, who are you, Seth? You got pinned by, Keith Lee, which, bask in his glory, but, like, you can't be calling people out. So then he moves on to Charlotte, and he said how she was in charge of the women's team, and she wasn't a good leader, and she let Raw down, and, she's pretty much a disgrace to the Flair name, which, again, Rollins, he's going for them low blows, and Charlotte's reaction to all this definitely wasn't as good as Randy Orton, because Charlotte, she's just unnatural, like, obviously all the plastic surgeries and shit she's gotten, but besides that, she's just so unnatural in front of the camera. I feel like she doesn't like to be there. In the rings, she's good, but just during promos and stuff like that, she just seems so awkward and off. So she joins Randy Orton and walks away. And then he calls out the AOP. They're standing out there, the Authors of Pain. And he's like, you guys weren't even at Survivor Series. You guys, you didn't even help us at all. So what are you doing here now? Get out of here. So they also leave. And then last he calls out Rey Mysterio. And he's like, you are the one who let us down the most. You couldn't beat Brock Lesnar. I beat him twice. Blah, blah, blah. Like, pretty much saying that, like, you suck, Rey. I'm way better than you. And when he called out Rey Mysterio, oh, and he was also like, you couldn't beat him with, like, your lead pipe and your, stupid kid. And then the crowd was booing him. He got asshole chants. So that's what I'm saying. There's no way that this isn't the start of a heel turn, or they're at least teasing the heel turn to trick the fans, and they're, no, then they're going to pull him back. He's still a babyface. Ha. That's what I think. It could go either way. I'm just hoping for the full-fledged heel turn. So then, pretty much after he calls out Rey Mysterio, the whole locker room, they had enough of this clown. Like, nobody wants to hear him just belittle them. Like I said earlier, he got pinned. It wasn't like, he won his match for his team, so then the whole locker room starts to leave, and they show the camera shot. You see Seth Rollins from the front, and you kind of can't really see what's behind him, but the crowd starts popping. They really start cheering. And the only person who you really didn't focus on or see was Kevin Owens, and then boom, we see it's Kevin Owens in the ring. So then Seth Rollins calls out Owens and he says, "Oh, look who it is, Mr. NXT." He calls out Owens for, helping out NXT, and then he says, "You're just jealous because you can't be as good as me. You just want everything I have. You want to be the face of this brand and all that other good stuff because, yeah, we all want to be the face of Monday Night Raw because it's such a great show." But, you know, as he's just, digging into KO, he just keeps getting closer, and that look on his face, he looks like, he's had enough of Rollins shit. And then Rollins is like, "Oh, well, hey, man, blah, blah, blah. Like we're on the same page here, right?" Because he can clearly see, like, Owens is going to kick his ass. Boom, stunner, done. So that was a good opening segment just for the fact that, I shouldn't say it was a good opening segment, but it was better than most that we've seen on Raw, and it was good in the sense where Kevin Owens is clearly the number one babyface on this brand. That's what we all wanted, and it's great to see that WWE was also acknowledging that, at least to a degree, and they teased the Rollins heel turn, which is also something that we need. And I like how the locker room kind of turned on Seth, because like I said, that's what we're all doing as fans. So they're just portraying real life with the fans, through the other wrestlers in the locker room. So this opening segment, I really enjoyed for that fact. Then after that, Charlie Caruso interviews Seth Rollins, and of course he's pissed off. He just got stunned. He's embarrassed. Nobody really responded to his town hall meeting like he wanted. And if you know how WWE works, you knew what was already coming. As soon as he hit that stunner, Seth Rollins calls out Kevin Owens for a match in the main event. Then after that, moving on, we get I guess earlier in the day, Rusev, he's coming into the arena and some fan comes up to him and Rusev is like, "Oh, hey man, I like your shirt." He's wearing like the new Rey Mysterio shirt, which actually does look pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. And the guy's like, "Oh, thanks," and gives Rusev this letter. And Rusev's looking at it like, "Oh, what's this?" And he's like, "Oh, that's a restraining order from Lana. Like, you're done, dude. You can't be here. Have a nice day." And Rusev's like, "What the fuck? Like, what's going on?" And so that kind of just set up what was going on. And then immediately we get Bobby Lashley's music. And then when you saw who was coming out, you pretty much knew how this match was going to go. Titus O'Neil comes out. And, maybe not even a minute in, the whole match, it was just Bobby Lashley was throwing this guy around, which Titus O'Neil isn't a small guy. So I don't know. I feel like you could have picked somebody maybe smaller to job out Titus O'Neil's already a joke. Nobody respects him, unfortunately, but now you're just burying him even more. But so he gets thrown around, and this match ends pretty quick because Rusev jumps the barrier. He comes in and starts beating the shit out of Bobby Lashley. Titus O'Neil just gets out of there, and he's taking him up the ramp, beating him up. The police come out and they stop Rusev before he was about to power bomb or just slam Bobby Lashley through the announce table. He cleared off all the debris and, everything else, the monitors, microphones, and he was just going to slam him through the announce table. But the police come out, stop him, and, they're handcuffing him, and Lana's up there. She's screaming, and he's like, "This isn't about you," blah, blah, blah. And Lashley's still kind of stunned from, getting the shit kicked out of him by Rusev. He breaks away from the police, shoulder blocks him, boom, right off the stage into a bunch of debris. Lana's losing her mind. Rusev's screaming, "I'm back, I'm back." And he kicks one of the metal trusses, like those big metal tower things that have like the grates and stuff going through. He kicks one of them over on Lashley. So that was pretty much the end of this segment. And honestly, when this whole Bobby Lashley Rusev thing started, I hated it. I still hate it. There's no way they could have saved this story. For me, the only thing that they could have did was they saw, it had a lot of views on YouTube because people like to watch stupid shit. I'm not going to lie. That's all it was. People watched it and they were like, "This is dumb." But you can't take your view back. Once you view it, you view it. So a bunch of people saw it and they were done with this. The segment's got less views each week, but they keep going. To me, you should have just ended it as soon as you saw that people didn't like it. So after the first week. They kept it going, and I was thinking, well, hopefully at least the people involved hate, the storyline. Rusev does an interview, and he says he thinks it's the hottest thing on Monday Night Raw. All my respect, done. So for me, I really don't care about this story. This feud is supposed to conclude at TLC, and that can't come fast enough. So moving on from that, we get AOP, the authors of Pain, against my boys, two wrestling figure collectors near and dear to my heart, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. And as soon as I say those names against the AOP, another squash match. Let's just keep this trend going. This was maybe a minute, 2 minutes max. They hit the last chapter, Super Collider, and I guess their new finisher, it's like a sit-out powerbomb neckbreaker. Even though the neckbreaker part was pretty weak, he pretty much just had his head resting on his shoulder and then like moved out of the way as the other one powerbombed. I'm not sure if it was Akam or Razor. Powerbomb. Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder rolled out of the ring after the Super Collider. 1, 2, 3, done. So again, we see the AOP in a squash match. We see the Viking Raiders in squash matches. Not tonight, but it's one of those things where why can't we get these teams in legitimate tag team matches? Oh, probably because there's no tag teams on Monday Night Raw because Vince McMahon and everyone in charge hates tag teams. Amazing. So then after that, again, to keep this trend going, because, I don't know, they felt like just burying people tonight. Akira Tozawa versus Andrade. And after Akira Tozawa had such a, I guess I shouldn't say it was such a great match, but for what it was, I thought it was good. On Survivor Series weekend on Sunday, the pre-show with Kalisto and Lio Rush, I thought that was a great match. If you watch our Survivor Series review, we cover that and give all of our in-depth opinions. But, he has that showing, and then tonight, he just loses to Andrade in 2-3 minutes. Obviously, they weren't going to build up Tozawa. He wasn't going to do anything on the main roster. But, you don't need to do that to this guy. You don't need to bury him after he had such a good showing. But that just shows how much stock they put into the cruiserweight. So this match, pretty much Andrade was in control 99% of the time. He had stiff chops to Tozawa to start the thing. Hits a power bomb. He wearing Tozawa out real quick. He goes for the three amigos. Tozawa rolls him up on the second suplex attempt. And then Tozawa gets some slight control. He goes for his top rope senton. Andrade dodges that. Hammerlock DDT. 1, 2, 3. At least he didn't need Zelina Vega. That's the only thing I can really say about that. Andrade looks good. He's got a few wins under his belt, and this is the thing now. This guy should have had gold way before this, but if we're starting fresh since the draft, let's say, he's accumulated a bunch of wins. He should have beat Seth Rollins in that match. I believe that was last week or the week before. Yeah, last week. So Andrade's looked real good. And after, the mid-card title on Raw, it should be his. And I believe after where it went tonight, I think he'll be having it sooner than later, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. So then after this, we go right to another person who should have had gold already, maybe even multiple times. Aleister Black. He calls out Buddy Murphy for last week, knocking on his door. He said, "You made the biggest mistake. You knocked on my door. You wanted to pick a fight with me." The same shtick we've seen for how long. His promo in the room, with all the lights off in the dark, does literally nothing for me. This guy needs to be in the ring. He needs to be cutting a promo to someone's face. He needs to be kicking someone's head off their shoulders. I don't need to see him in a room anymore, cutting the same boring promo. Pick a fight with me. Dude, I don't care. Go pick a fight with someone. Like I said, go kick someone's face in. I'm sick of seeing this same promo. And what they did tonight, I'm happy to see that it seems like they're going to start a feud with him, because we didn't see anything since Cesaro, and that wasn't a very long feud to begin with. So I'm hoping that this doesn't just conclude at TLC. I'm hoping they do something with this, but it's WWE, and I don't think that they've long-term booked anything in how long. So after this segment, we get a return that I popped for, because I love this guy, Matt Hardy. He comes out, big pop from the crowd. It was great for that, great for Matt Hardy. And I was thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be like a return match for Matt Hardy in the sense where he's going to get a win here. We got Buddy Murphy. So because this Aleister Black promo beforehand, we pretty much knew Buddy Murphy wasn't going to lose this match. This was another match I would even classify as a squash, unfortunately, for Matt Hardy, because it wasn't a very long match, and the point of this match wasn't for Matt Hardy at all. So, back and forth in the beginning a little bit. Murphy sends Hardy to the outside, throwing him into the barricade, and then back into the ring. Hardy hits a side effect, and then, when Murphy's laying on the ground, he starts doing the delete chant. So, he is still doing the delete because he didn't come out with the crazy, hair. It was pulled back. So, I wasn't sure if he was still doing the delete gimmick or if he was trying to just be like a normal Matt Hardy, but he was doing the delete. He sets him up for the twist of fate, and Murphy counters that, and he hits 2 huge knee strikes, and that's pretty much the end of it. He didn't even hit, his finisher, the Murphy's Law. So now you don't even need to beat Matt Hardy with, you can beat him without using your finisher. So to me, that was kind of bullshit, especially you bring Matt Hardy back. The one thing I will say, though, on WWE's Instagram, they had a picture of Matt Hardy. He was like looking in the mirror, and they were like, oh, he returns. And then his first match, he loses. What does this mean for... Like, they were kind of setting it up that there could be something with Matt Hardy. But to me, I think they just were trying to throw a dog a bone to say, oh, you're getting in shape and posting all this stuff on your Instagram and your Twitter. And, yeah, we'll let you wrestle, but you're going to lose. Ha, you're stuck here for how long? Until your contract's up. Screw you. So that's all I think that was. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do something with him. And then after that, Murphy calls out Aleister Black, blah, blah, blah. He's saying, like, let me pick a fight with you, all that other bull crap. And then, boom, Aleister Black shows up. And this is the thing, like I said, this is what I want to see. But I want to see this next week, too. Or at least the following week whenever they continue this story. I don't want to see Aleister Black in the room again next week calling out Buddy Murphy. It needs to be face-to-face like this. So he gets in... he shows up, boom, elbows to Murphy, knees him. I mean, Aleister Black, we all know how legit this guy is. Boom with the elbow, the knee, Murphy's done. He's out of that ring, and, he retreats up the ramp and lives to fight another day. So, if you let these guys go, 15, 20 minutes, 4-star classic, easy. Will WWE do that? Who knows? To me, this match can't be, like I said, it can't be just concluded at TLC. You have 3-4 week build, TLC, boom, done. Because not that every match on the show is a gimmick like that. I wouldn't want to see this one be a gimmick TLC match. And I don't know, I feel like you could have these guys fight for a while. Buddy Murphy's so talented, Aleister Black's talented, but the problem is there's no story. Because... the only story that you do with Aleister Black is that he just sits in a closet and waits for people to knock on the door to fight him. And what kind of story is that? How can you build any meaningful feud or anything from that? You need to have this guy, in the locker room, in the ring, wrestling people, doing stuff, challenging for, mid-card titles. There can't be any interesting and compelling story when the dude just sits in the dark. So... with all that being said, I'm still excited to see this match, but I feel like it's just going to be, they're going to have 2 or 3 matches, and then it's going to be over, and nothing will come from it for either guy. So then after that, we get Charlie Caruso, and she was definitely working overtime tonight. She had another interview with Charlotte, and she asked Charlotte, about pretty much the same thing Seth Rollins said earlier. The Women's Survivor Series team didn't look too good. And Charlotte, she said she was going to be the leader. And Charlotte interrupted her there and said that she never claimed to be the leader, but she was the only one on the team with leadership skills. And then she calls out Asuka, and she said Asuka cost them, the loss because she's just jealous of Charlotte because Charlotte's better than her. She's a 10 times women's champion. She defeated or broke her undefeated streak at WrestleMania. and she pretty much just calls out Asuka and says she's jealous and this and that. So this actually wasn't bad because Charlotte was actually saying facts and true things. I'm not saying Asuka is jealous, but she's saying things that happened, not just a generic promo. So it actually came off and sounded a little bit more organic for her. So that was a plus, but I don't know. To me, I even though it was a little better, I don't really care when Charlotte speaks. I was just more of a fan of her in the ring, at least last year when she had like the TLC match with, or the ladders match, whatever that was, with Asuka and Becky, and then her match with Ronda Rousey and all that. So that last year, I thought she was better. Then everything this year just seems so formulaic with her, like almost like her father. Not to call out, Ric Flair, but I feel both of them, they kind of like wrestle the same match. If you really watch their matches, they just wrestle the same match over and over with different people. So they're just kind of boring and formulaic, and it's the same thing in the ring. And that's how she is on the mic too. It's just I don't like seeing her and hearing her. So moving on from that, then we get AJ Styles versus Humberto Carrillo, and AJ, he comes out with the OC, and then or Humberto, he comes out first, rather. And then, the OC, they jump him, beat him up. He's pretty much taken out. They choke slam him on the apron, magic killer on the steel steps. And I actually did laugh because as they're hitting the magic killer and all that, Vic Joseph is, freaking out because, oh, this is terrible. This is, this poor guy, the OC, they keep getting involved and screwing around with him. And the King just goes, it was too early for that kid anyway. I popped because Humberto, I never watched him on 205 Live. He was pretty much brought up to the main roster like all these other cruiserweights. Guys like Ricochet, not that he was ever in the cruiserweight division, but, he's a smaller guy. Him, Cedric Alexander. These guys are just like fed to AJ Styles, and he just chews them up, murders them, and then, you guys aren't really going to do anything after that. And that's what like Humberto is. You keep squashing this guy. What was the point? Why even do this? But anyway, so then Ricochet comes, he checks on Humberto, and then he says AJ isn't the real champion who he once respected and looked up to. And, that belt deserves to be on someone who's going to be a good champion. So Ricochet challenges him for the belt. And AJ's like, yeah, no, I'm good. Like, dude, why would I challenge you? Like, you're a loser. Like, what have you done? Who have you beaten? I've already beaten you, so no. Then Randy Orton comes out and that he'll RKO that, AJ Styles should wrestle him because he said he'll RKO his ass through the canvas. So Randy Orton, he comes out. He's ready to, kick some ass. He's pissed, especially probably because of what Rollins said earlier. And Styles, which I'm happy for this, he is like, I think I wrestled you on a bigger stage than here in Chicago. I think I wrestled you at a place called WrestleMania, and I beat you, so I don't need to fight you here. So pretty much everybody, he had an excuse for people that he beat. And then after that, Drew McIntyre comes out. And Drew McIntyre says how he knows someone who Styles hasn't beat, someone who's defeated a monster among men, who it only took one kick to pin the NXT UK champion. He's tall, he's long dark hair, he's handsome. So he's clearly talking about himself. And again, they gotta pour some salt in the wound about Walter. But the only thing is, I was hoping once he said that meant that this was going to be a push for McIntyre, because it's like, that is really something. They don't really put much stock into Walter over here on the main roster, but like, you got to think, he pinned Walter, so to me, that means like, more weight than WWE's giving it. But so he comes out and he challenges AJ, and then at that point, AJ's like, well, I did have the match of the night last night, and I'm a little sore, so I don't know about that. So you can clearly tell like he doesn't really want to wrestle McIntyre. He's scared. And then Rey Mysterio comes out. And this was the only one that I really had an issue with, because like, dude, you're going to challenge Brock Lesnar last night, lose, and then you think, oh, I can just challenge AJ Styles. So to me, that was kind of bullshit. But, it was Rey Mysterio, and like I said, it's all, I think, the long term, and when I say long term, I mean like a month or two, but like the long term booking is kind of there with this decision to bring out Rey Mysterio. So he comes out and he says AJ needs to stop making excuses, and he says that he deserves a title shot. And AJ says that they're all undeserving, and that, like you guys, because I think Ricochet says like, oh, we should have a fatal 4-way match. I believe it's Ricochet. And then they're all kind of like looking around like, oh, like, are we going to do this? What's going on? And AJ's like, no, like, you're not going to have a fatal 4-way match. McIntyre's like, well, I like my idea better, which I thought was funny. Like, yeah, like, I just want to wrestle. Screw you guys. And then AJ, like I said, he's like, no, like, we're not doing this. He's like, right, Carl? Or he asked Luke Gallows first. And Gallows is like, well, I don't know. It seems like a pretty cool idea. And he's like, well, that's because I wasn't talking to you. Right, Carl? And then Carl Anderson's like, well, I don't know. It's a hot crowd. I think they like it. I think it's kind of cool. We should do, you should do it. And then AJ's like, what the fuck? Like, my own boys betrayed me. So he's like, all right, whatever. And this is the one thing I will say about Monday Night Raw as a whole. It's almost like the inmates run the asylum. This is the point where you have a general manager come out and he says something where you two are going to wrestle tonight. You two are going to wrestle tonight. Tomorrow, the two winners will wrestle. You do something with it. You don't just let the wrestlers decide what's going on. Same thing with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens stunned Rollins. Rollins should have went not to Charlie. He should have stormed into the general manager's office and he should have said, I was trying to have a town meeting. I was trying to restore order and, get morale up in Monday Night Raw. And Kevin Owens stunned me. I want a match. That's how you should book it. Not that he just decides it on his own and it happens. So that was like just one kind of complaint, and I really missed that, from not having a general manager. So then we get the 4-way match with Ricochet, Orton, McIntyre, Mysterio. And Ricochet and Mysterio, they dump each other to the outside. I'm just going to run through the major spots of this match here. But it was a really good match overall. But I'll give my opinion then when we're at the end. Both men, they fight back and forth. This is Ricochet and Mysterio. Ricochet gets caught when going after Drew McIntyre. Orton takes out Rey Mysterio. So it kind of did a thing where it would really it was the WWE Fatal 4-Way match. You had two guys who get knocked out, then the other two wrestle. Then those two guys who previously got knocked out get up, and two of the four get knocked out, and then it's either the other guys or it's some new combination. You can only have two guys wrestling at a time. So Orton and Drew work over Ricochet. They beat him down in the corner. Rey tries to help. He gets thrown out. Ricochet fights back. And then Rey Mysterio takes everyone out and then takes Ricochet to the top rope. Drew knocks down Rey. Ricochet gets Drew in a tree of woe. And then Orton shoves Ricochet off the turnbuckle. Drew slams him down from the tree of woe position. So that was really cool. You had Ricochet on the top and Orton was up there. Or, was it? Yeah, I believe it was Orton and Ricochet yet up there. And like I said, Drew McIntyre's hanging upside down in this tree of woe. And he just kind of grabs them both and does like a fall-away slam throw almost from that upside-down position. So, like, Drew McIntyre is such a beast. The dude is strong. He's huge. Like, he's another one of those guys. If I'm booking this, if I'm the guy in charge, he's my Universal Champion. And he's been that since WrestleMania. Like I said, Drew slams him down from that tree of woe. And then Drew and Ricochet, they battle in the ring. The OCs, they're watching at this point, trying to, maybe pick the winner that they want AJ to go, who AJ wants to go against. Orton hits his middle rope DDT on Ricochet, and then Orton gets in Drew's face. And then this was a really good spot I like. So, you have a stare down between these two guys. And I even noticed this last 2 nights ago, Sunday night on Survivor Series, when Walter and Drew McIntyre got in that chopping contest. We all know how devastating Walter's chops are, but just from the sound effect and all that alone, Drew McIntyre's chops sound more devastating than Walter's did on Sunday. And they got into a chopping battle here tonight, Randy Orton and McIntyre. And I mean, Randy Orton hit him, and then McIntyre hit him like 4 times as hard, and like Orton could feel it. He like stumbled back. Like, I don't think Orton knew he was gonna get hit that hard. And they keep going back and forth, and Drew delivers a huge chop to him. And then Orton, you think, is going to do the same. Boop, poked him in the eye. So that was a legit spot. Orton is like, no, like he's a heel, and it's great to see those heel tactics. Because you really don't see like the heels cheating and doing all that stuff anymore. So that was a really legit spot. And yeah, Randy Orton pokes him in the eyes, but then after that, Drew hits a Glasgow kiss, and that was another one. I mean, he hit his fucking headbutt, and Orton just immediately drops to the ground like he got hit with a gunshot. Like, it was so legit. Like I said, I can't say enough good things about Drew McIntyre. I wish I was booking him. I wish I was in charge, because it pains me to see how he just has to lose to Roman, or he gets in these, opportunities to be a number one contender for a singles title, never wins, and it's just such a shame. It's just such bullshit to see this guy, because he could be the face of NXT UK. He could be the face of AEW. Any promotion he goes to, this guy is either your number one heel or he's your number one babyface. But whatever he is, he's your number one, and WWE's really dropping the ball with him. So then after that, Ricochet, he comes and he attacks Drew after that Glasgow kiss spot. Ricochet counters an Alabama slam into a roll-up on McIntyre for a 2 count. And then he kicks out of a power bomb. Orton hits an RKO on McIntyre then. And then this is the spot that you think, after he hits that RKO, it's like, oh, it's done. McIntyre's going to eat the pin again, like I said, just to piss me off. But the OC, they break it up and they put Orton out of the ring. And then Ricochet goes in. He goes to work over Drew McIntyre. Rey Mysterio sneaks in, gets a roll-up on Ricochet. 1, 2, 3 for the win. Great match with these 4 guys, like I said. All of them in there are beasts. Ricochet's so good. Mysterio, even for his age, and especially, the emotions running high from that match last night. I'm a bigger Rey Mysterio fan than ever. Not that this is his best program he's ever been in, but it's good to see him actually being something. Most likely because they're scared of him jumping ship to AEW after WrestleMania, but who knows? Do I think Mysterio was the right guy to win? Like I said, for the long-term booking, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, it makes sense, but it is something we have seen before that they're going to revisit. But if they do the right thing, it won't be bad. And that is, I'll say it, I guess, here to spoil it. Well, actually, no, we'll save it because it's coming up next. So, moving on, we get AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. To go through this match, Styles charges in early on. He takes advantage on Rey. Rey tries to mount an offense on Styles, but he counters with a backbreaker. And then AJ and Rey, they fight on the outside for a little bit. They get back in the ring, and every time Rey tries to do something, Styles just counters him, and he just keeps advantage for a good majority of this match early on. Rey, they did a lot of like upside down, hanging like trio woe spots. Rey gets put into that, and he hits a drop kick from Styles and in the corner, and Styles goes for the pin. He grabs the rope break. He grabs the rope break. AJ continues his assault. He slingshots Rey into the middle rope. Like he does the spot where he kind of is like holding on to his feet. When they slingshot him like that into the corner. Well, he has him between the bottom and the middle rope, like upside down. So he comes up and he hits the rope on his neck. So that was a pretty like brutal spot there. Rey tries a springboard move, but his knee then. They're kind of on the apron, and Rey tries to do like a springboard move, but his knee gives out. He can't hit this from last night or 2 nights ago in his match with Brock Lesnar. So they keep fighting and then he sends AJ into the post. AJ gets set up for a 619, and then the OC stops it. And then at this point, the ref, which is good. I like when they actually do this in these matches. The ref sends the OC to the back. So the OC's pissed, And then we go to, I think they went to a commercial break there. Because then when they come back, AJ, he sends Ray into the corner, and Ray's hung upside down again. Ray dodges and, tries to make a comeback, but AJ, he takes advantage again. He hits a senton. I believe this is Ray, actually. A Ray hits a senton, a Hurricane Rana, and then he hits a Bulldog. AJ fights back. He hits the Ushigoroshi. And then after that, he sets up for the Styles Clash. And then Ray counters the Styles Clash into a sunset flip for a near 2 fall. So that was a really cool spot. And then AJ kicks out. And then they start fighting a little more back and forth. And Rey Mysterio, he sends him, goes to try to set him up for the 619. And AJ bumps into the ref. And then when the OC, they, probably watching from Gorilla, they are on the monitor, they see the refs knocked down. So they come out and they start beating up Rey Mysterio. Randy Orton comes out again and he chases off the OC. Ray hits a 619 and on Styles, he gets set up again for that. And off the 619, Styles, he goes back, and as he's going backwards, Randy Orton hits the RKO. At this point, we all knew it was done. After the RKO, Mysterio comes down with the frog splash. 1, 2, 3, and we have a new United States champion. Dominic comes out, celebrates with his father. It's like, you didn't get the main prize, but here's your consolation prize. And at the end of the day, like I said, I feel this is all leading to Rey Mysterio versus Andrade. As long as you do not do it at TLC, do it at a Royal Rumble. Build this feud until the Royal Rumble. If you want both these guys in the Royal Rumble, then have them eliminate each other, and then this goes to WrestleMania. That's what I'm going to say. Have this be a legit program. Because if Mysterio is done, what a way to do it. He drops the belt to Andrade, and he's done. I think if WWE wants to keep him, you're going to have to book him legit from now till the end of his contract. And I think they almost got to use... I think they could use his son for leverage. Excuse me, because I feel like his son is probably going to stay with WWE. So if he would leave, would he want to not be with his son, help him train, learn, and all that other stuff? So I don't know about that. Personally, there is guys I would love to see Mysterio wrestle in AEW and in other promotions if he decides to do a little, circuit and do a bunch of different promotions, or if he just wants to sign with one like AEW, or what his choice is. But I also wouldn't mind if he stays in the WWE. And I know a lot of people are probably going to shit on that, but he's old and I don't know how much more he can do. And I feel like if WWE keeps him in storylines like this, because, the crowd's hot for Mysterio now. And, like I said, that's probably just so he doesn't leave. But it's one of those things where if they book him like this correctly moving forward, he should stay here, because I feel like they're going to pay him more. And like I said, I feel a major thing with that is with his son. But we'll see where they go. Like I said, I'm predicting the Andrade Mysterio match. Hopefully not at TLC. But then after that, Charlie, she interviews Kevin Owens. And KO says that Rollins doesn't know. The problem is with Seth Rollins is he doesn't know who he is. He tries to be all these different people, and he tries to just please the crowd or please corporate, please management. Whoever he needs to please, that's what Rollins does. He's a chameleon. He just changes his colors. And Kevin says that the difference is that he's always been himself, no matter what. He stayed true to what he believes in, and he says that, like I said, Rollins always does what the company wants. And one thing he called Rollins, I forget the exact line, but he called him a prick, which I thought was really cool. Usually you don't hear that on TV, especially Monday night WWE television. So that was really cool. And he says he has another stunner coming his way. And then Monday Night Rollins will forever be the KO show. Which, again, like I said, Kevin Owens is definitely all of our number one baby faces in Monday Night Raw. And, we want to see him take over and really get what he deserved. His last Universal title run wasn't good. that was, he was just fed to the Goldberg agenda, which was just eventually leading to Brock Lesnar just to try to get over Roman. So you have a lot of guys sacrifice for no need, and I think Kevin Owens is finally in a legit spot. And I'm really excited to see where they go, but I'm also nervous because how many times have we said, "Oh, I'm really excited to see where this goes," and then they give us one of those. So we'll see where they go from here. Next, we get Asuka versus Charlotte, and this was actually a pretty good match. Like I said, I'm so sick of Charlotte. She does the same. She's like, Superwoman. She just, I don't know. In her matches, she just always has to have the upper hand. She can never lose clean. It's just such a bullshit thing with Charlotte. But Asuka, she mocks Charlotte because she still has some of the green mist in her hair. Charlotte sends Asuka to the outside and is, like I said, just beating the shit out of her early on. Into the barricade. Kyrie gets up in her face. She eats a big boot for her troubles. Flair stomps Asuka into the corner. Asuka tries to mount a comeback but slams Flair down head first. Asuka tries a German suplex and then she tries an armbar. Flair attempts a figure four. And at this point, Kyrie is again distracting Flair. Then Asuka does a hip attack into the corner. That was a really good spot because she not only hit hit Flair's back, but then Flair's face bounced into the turnbuckle. She got a 2 count on that, and then Asuka works over her arm. That was a big point. Was Asuka was just trying to get the arm bar on to Flair. So then, like I said, she's working over her arm. Asuka hits kicks and strikes to Charlotte. Charlotte, she counters with a boot. Charlotte was just, big boot all night. Like I said, she has the same moves. It's just over and over. She gets a 2 count on that. Flair chases away Kyrie. Asuka gets Flair into the armbar again. Flair gets out. Another big boot countered into a German suplex. So this one she actually didn't hit. Asuka countered that into a suplex. A pin attempt. Back and forth strikes from both women. Flair chops Asuka and then hits a fallaway slam. Flair attempts the moonsault. Asuka rolls out of the way. And then Flair does like a senton, or she does like a jump onto Asuka. And then Asuka does a hip attack into a roll up on Flair. Flair hits a belly to back suplex from this. And then Asuka hits, it looks almost like a code breaker on Charlotte. Like she's like lunge. I don't know if she was going for a spear again or what, but she goes towards Asuka and it almost looked like a code breaker, but they obviously weren't going to call it that on WWE television. But then a little bit more back and forth. Flair goes for a natural selection, which I thought this was a cool spot. Asuka kind of ducked her head out of the way and then got her in a arm bar, and then Charlotte locked the arms, which was her escape out of the arm bar the whole night, was locking her hands. And then Asuka pulled it into a triangle choke. And then Flair changes that into a Boston Crab. Another rope break. Asuka gets the rope break from that. Flair attacks the left knee. She's setting up for the figure four. She hits a spear on Asuka. Then here, a 2 count. And earlier in the match, like I said, when Kyrie was distracting Charlotte actually, like, at some point when Asuka was beat down, she's like, screw this. And she chased Kyrie off, which I don't like how you're making Kyrie like this cowardly heel. I feel like Kyrie, she's legit enough, at least in all the fans' eyes, clearly not in WWE's eyes, but she's legit enough that she could stand toe-to-toe with Charlotte. They obviously didn't do any of that here. Anytime she tried to do anything, Charlotte just beat the shit out of her, which was ridiculous. But she comes back, distracts Charlotte when Charlotte is about to set up for the figure four, which is a stupid move because clearly you were swatting away Kyrie like a fly all night. You're about to do your submission on Asuka to win the match, but she gets distracted, goes up to Kyrie to tell her off. And at this point, Asuka spins her around, green mist, roll up, done. Like I said, it was a good match, even though Charlotte, she does the same spots, the big boot, the awful moonsault, which she never hits. At least here, they sold it where Asuka rolled out of the way and, she recovered from it. But I don't know why Asuka can't win clean. What would have been, or at least without the green mist, what would have been the hurt to just give Charlotte a loss here. Have it, Kyrie comes back, she gets distracted, stupid baby face, even though I don't think Charlotte's a baby face, the stupid baby face syndrome. She gets distracted by Kyrie, and then Asuka, hits a massive German suplex, and then like her, a kick or a knee, forearm, Asuka lock, does something, to get the win. I don't know why you need to always resort to the green mist every single match, but like I said, I can't complain about the quality of the match because it was good. My girl Asuka got the win, and hopefully this sets up, the rumored match with her and Becky Lynch. And I would love to see her have, like, Asuka beat Becky Lynch in a match. To have, how I feel like that would be cool to have them be the tag team champions and her also be the Raw Women's Champion. But I doubt it. This will probably they're going to try to get more wind back under Becky's sails by having her beat Asuka, which honestly, yeah, I feel like it's going to do the opposite because people are, not that everyone is so behind Asuka and Kairi Sane, but like people I feel are more behind them, and they're losing interest in Becky Lynch, and honestly nobody cares about Charlotte Flair besides Vince McMahon. So moving on then from this segment, we get Charlie Caruso. Like I told you, she's working overtime. She interviewed Lana tonight, and this was the last interview segment, and she asked Lana, updates on Bobby Lashley's health and the attack with Rusev and everything. And Lana says she hopes that Brute gets sent back to Bulgaria. He's going to be sued or fined or whatever. She said, I really wasn't listening too much for this because, like I said earlier, I have zero investment in this storyline. And, to me, this is all just pointless. Like, nobody cares what Lana has to say. This is a bullshit storyline. She doesn't even really give any health updates on Bobby Lashley. She more just talks about Rusev and how she hates him and how she's doing okay, and but emotionally she's upset, but she's okay. And it's like the crowd was giving her the what chance, and like I said, nobody really cares. And speaking of nobody really cares, there was actually a match before this. Again, see, nobody really cares because we have Eric Rowan comes out with his bird cage, with the burlap sack over top or whatever it is. Still don't know what's going on with that. And he's squashing. I have the name here. I wasn't going to name this guy to embarrass this fool, but I guess I'll look up his name. Right here, Kyle Roberts. Kyle Roberts, to start this match, this local enhancement jobber, he wants to see, just like all of us, he wants to see what's underneath, what's in the bird cage. He eats an iron claw for his troubles. Match is done. Does anyone care? No. The only thing I care about is what's under the sack in that bird cage. But let me tell you, let me clue you in on a little secret. It's probably bullshit. So then we finally get our main event. Should it have been the main event? I don't think so. I think the match with Styles should have been the main event with Ray and AJ Styles because, one, then you give the guy a little bit of time to rest. He just was in a fatal four-way match. And you go off the air with a feel-good moment. Instead, we get this. It wasn't the worst thing to end with, but to me, it's just, you're just investing this as your hottest storyline. But to me, if there's a championship match, that should be the main event. But maybe I'm old school, who knows? But to get into the main event, both guys, they were going to have both guys looking strong. It wasn't going to be a squash match or anything like that. Back and forth here and there. Owens hit his pop-up powerbomb. Like I said, more back and forth. No guy could take real full advantage. Seth Rollins goes for the stomp, and Owens actually counters that into a stunner. But by the time he can go up to make, the pin on Seth, AOP comes out, and they just beat the shit out of Kevin Owens, send him into the corner, into the barricade, or into the ring post, and the match ends in a DQ. And then at this point, Rollins is staring down the AOP, and he's calling them, come on, his stupid, trying to be tough, and nobody really cares about him. He calls out the AOP, they kind of just look at him and walk away. So at this point, now all the gears are turning. Is the AOP doing this because they said, oh, you called us out and, we beat this guy up. So you want to say we don't do anything? Look what we do. We beat, this tough guy, this guy who thinks he's the number one on Monday Night Raw. We just beat him up. Or is this the AOP is now with Seth Rollins? I mean, nothing's confirmed. All, of course, speculation. Get the fans, try to get them interested. But honestly, I feel WWE doesn't have a clue. They don't really know what they want to do yet. And all this was real vague. And then after the AOP attacks Kevin Owens, the match ends in a DQ. For good measure, because Rollins needs to feel good about himself somehow, he gives Kevin Owens, after he's been beat up, he gives him 2 stomps, for his troubles. Thanks for coming, Kev. And that's how Monday Night Raw goes off the air. So, with that all being said, was it a good show? I'm going to say it wasn't a good show in the sense where it was like, this was great, I'll go back and watch it again. But the show did enough for me where I'm definitely interested to watch next week. There were some good matches in here, like the Fatal 4-Way was good. For what it was, the Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles match was good. Like I said, just for the emotional thing, I was riding an emotional high for Rey Mysterio from the night before. It was good to see him get the win here because, honestly, Styles wasn't doing anything with that belt. Sure, he had good matches, some with Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, but none were great classics. They weren't giving these guys time to tell a great story and put on a great match to try to bring some prestige to this belt. And I'm hoping Rey Mysterio, since he wins this belt, I would love to see, I believe we talked about on the channel for the Intercontinental Championship, how they gave that a new design. I'm not a fan of how the United States Championship looks. I would love if next Monday night Dominic would come out and present his dad with a new United States Championship. I feel like that would be a badass moment. And again, another real emotional moment between these two. And if you wanted to set up the eventual heel turn for Dominic, which is something I'm kind of a fan of, I feel like that would be a good thing because you have all these heartfelt moments for then Dominic to turn on him. Maybe even Dominic, if they do the Andrade feud, Dominic could side with Andrade because Andrade's younger, he's cooler, he can, do more in the ring. Maybe he thinks he can learn more from Andrade than his dad, and he'll help Andrade win the belt instead of maybe Zelina helping him. Who knows? Or, all three of, the 2 of them could help Andrade. So that's what I mean. And this whole Seth Rollins, is he going to turn heel? Or is this, they're just teasing the fans with a carrot on the string and then they're going to pull it back and nope, none for you. Seth Rollins is still our guy. Haha, who knows what they're going to do, honestly. But they did enough for me that I'm definitely interested. So that's all I have for you today on Monday Night Raw. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. And again, we have so much new stuff coming to the channel. I'm not going to get into it too much today, but we definitely have so much new stuff planned. And if you think we're just going to do reviews and top 10s and all that other generic stuff like everyone else does on YouTube, forget about it. Because 2020 is bringing great things for Rope Break. And if you're not subscribed now, what the hell are you doing? Subscribe, follow us on Facebook. We got all the links in the video descriptions, the links to the War Games review, Survivor Series review, all that in the video description. So thanks for watching, guys. Ada!